Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Peace talks over the conflict in Gaza are continuing exactly 2 years after the 7th of October attacks by Hamas. Events have been taking place across Israel to mark the occasion. Here, Benjamin Netanyahu lighting a candle in a government meeting to remember those killed. 1,200 people died, mostly Israeli civilians, with 251 taken hostage by Hamas. The Israelis estimate that 20 hostages are still alive, and they want the return of the bodies of 28 others. Israel's devastating military response has destroyed most of Gaza and killed more than 66,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians, and including more than 18,000 children. The figures come from the health ministry that is part of the remains of the Hamas administration, but its statistics have been usually regarded as reliable. A judge in Albania has been shot dead after a man opened fire during a trial in a court of appeal in the capital Tirana. Judge Astrit Kalaja died en route to hospital, officials said, while 2 others involved in the hearing over a property dispute, a father and son, were shot but sustained injuries that were not life-threatening. Police said they had arrested a 30-year-old male suspect, who Albanian media have named as Elvis Shekembi.
Vous dites, vous êtes illustré parce que vous en avez parlé.
Emmanuel Macron's first Prime Minister has said he should name a Prime Minister to push through a budget and then call early presidential elections to solve France's political crisis. Edouard Philippe's comments come after France's 3rd Prime Minister in a year, Sébastien Lecornu, resigned on Monday after his bid to form a government fell apart. Macron has asked him to make a last-ditch plan for stability by the end of Wednesday, but support for the French president appears to be waning, even among his allies. The Senate has failed for a 5th time to pass spending measures to reopen the government. Competing proposals by Democrats and Republicans were both shot down, failing to meet the 60-vote threshold required. President Donald Trump said earlier in the day that another failed vote would trigger mass layoffs. Thousands of federal employees were furloughed or ordered to work without pay when funding for their agencies ended 5 days ago, but he hinted that he was open to trying to end the impasse and possibly strike a deal with Democrats who are sticking to demands that the legislation address healthcare. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump and his Brazilian counterpart, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, have had a call described by both sides as friendly and positive, as Brazil seeks to reduce a 50% US tariff on imports. In Monday's chat, Lula asked Mr. Trump to remove most of the duties. Trump said on social media they had a very good telephone call. It is the first time the two have spoken formally since they had a brief encounter at the United Nations General Assembly in New York last month. Relations have been icy since Trump raised tariffs this summer to 50% on some Brazilian goods in response to the coup plot trial of Lula's predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro. Madagascar's embattled president has appointed an army general as the new prime minister in a bid to end youth-led protests against his rule. He said the nation needed a premier capable of restoring order and the people's trust before naming him to the post. Coming days after the president expressed fears of a coup attempt, the general's appointment marks a significant militarization of the government and appears to be an attempt by the president to secure the army's backing at a time of heightened tensions. The protest movement, known as Gen Z Mada, rejected General Zafi Sambo's appointment and gave the president 48 hours to resign. And Taylor Swift's latest album, The Life of a Showgirl, has already secured the UK's biggest opening week of 2025, after selling 304,000 copies since Friday.
On the megaphone, you wanna see me all alone.
The total eclipses the first week sales of her last 2 studio albums. With just 3 days counted, she has achieved the UK's biggest first week sales since Ed Sheeran's Divide sold 672,000 copies in 2017. The star is also on track to have the biggest selling album of the year overall. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.